Hello. Yes, it's been a while, and I thought, I need to update the video series with the results, the books, the two books that I published based on this investigation. Um, it's been a long time coming. I didn't realize that I put this off for so long, but in on August 21, 2025, Post-Colonial Realism came out. It was the first book that looked at the country studies that I did, and it's available on Amazon. It's called Post-Colonial Realism: Cultural Conflicts, Cuisine, and the Changing International System. And it's a very cool. I don't know if you can see that, but there it is with the uh, grape leaves there. Still don't know anything about editing a video, but that's fine. So I did the 5 chapters cases on Armenia, Macedonia, North Macedonia, um, Turkey, Armenia, and India, and basically looking at how theories of nationalism fit into food conflicts or conflicts over food ownership. And I adopted post-colonial realism because I thought that was the best tool because it looks at cultural revitalization. The problem with post-colonial theories is, they don't really offer anything substantial as to why certain behaviors are contentious. And so I took that and I applied it. I made a new theory, post-colonial realism, looking at state behavior, the foreign policies that result from cultural revitalization programs led by the state. The second book that I published was Nationalist Securitization and Socialization in an Era of Globalization. And it looks at how nationalist theories are used to understand state motivations. And I didn't really look at the food so much as the touristic experiences, because as soon as you go there, like you're bombarded by all of these different ways to teach, ways to people want to tell you about their national identity, and they want to basically tell you that they're the right ones, and the other people that they're fighting with, they're the wrong ones. And so that's the whole emphasis of that book. And I thought, it was a very easy write because there was so much stuff that came out of that, so much information that came out of those trips that one book wasn't couldn't do it. So if you I don't know. The grant application said I was going to write one book with looking at all the cases uh, in a dyadic way. So it was gonna be Greece and North Macedonia, Turkey and Armenia, India and Pakistan, and then it was going to be Japan and Korea, and so on. There were some other case studies as well in South America and so on. I really designed this to be a huge endeavor, and as you know, the funding didn't go through, but I managed to put out not one book but two books. So, at some point after the publication of this book, I basically said, well, let me put this aside because I kind of wanted to turn my attention to the new Trump administration. And I published a book, Multipolar Revisionism, that's available published by Routledge, and that's available now if you want to go on Amazon and check it out, or just look at a brief overview of what it is. It's trying to explain Trump's foreign policy from it's like trying to revise hegemony, and so that was my first effort. And a number of other books I finished. Now they're in review or they're about to go into review, and so I'm basically finished with the Trump administration foreign policy for now until something else comes up. And right now, I'm looking at some other. I'm going back to my first love, which was like political ideology, and I especially enjoy end of the world type, religious doctrines. So that's what I want to go into now. And I'm reading up on like Shia and Jewish and Christian theology. And so I'm shifting again my research agenda because I feel that it's important given the war in Iran, the IRGC's irrational behavior, irrational in the sense of the Western perspective of what is rational and irrational cost benefit, and looking at it from their perspective, not simply from a cost benefit, but basically the ideological commitments that they have made for themselves. So we're looking at that right now, and I'm not really sure where it's going to go or what the relevance will be, but that's what I would like to pursue for now. And I just wanted to, I guess, close off this series by saying it was a lot of, it was very, stressful. It was fun, but it was stressful. Like I love food, and when you mix food with when you mix pleasure and scholarship and being and working, that sometimes that doesn't always translate to fun. Fun is going to lose out. But when you put that aside and you see the result of it, I think it was a wonderful experience. Going to these countries and kind of chasing people and chasing the truth, trying to find out the truth behind everything, and that nobody wants to really talk to you about because they have their different agendas, and the lack of trust, especially in Turkey and in Armenia, that was very interesting as well. And just looking at it, the living in a hotel is difficult as well. And I'm back home, and you kind of forget how wonderful it is to have a washing machine and a kitchen of your own, a fridge. It's just like a refrigerator to put your stuff in. That's wonderful. It's a wonderful invention. And all the things that you're used to, your office and the grocery store that you're accustomed to, all that is wonderful. And I think it's worth it to think about all of that. And I definitely think that the result, the two books that came out, and also publication, an article published by Wisdom, which is a journal in Armenia. I looked at a comparative study between graffiti and statues and graffiti, the formal and the informal, and how that related to messaging, nationalism, nationalist socialization, and all that. And I republished it in the National Securitization book, that article. And I took a lot of different things that I was thinking about, Israeli nationalism and Singaporean nationalism, and I discussed that in the book as well. So, that book was fun and interesting to write. There's a chapter on globalization of fast food. In that, fast food is basically, all over the world. Every country has its own version or variant of fast food. In America, the McDonald's in the United States is very different from the McDonald's in other countries. And I think that in itself is interesting because globalization brings us closer together, but we do preserve some facets of our cultural beliefs and understandings, and what's good, we kind of merge that with the idea of globalization. So nationalism is proven to be quite resilient. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think nationalism is a way in which people kind of connect to each other. They want to they're proud of their nation, and there's a connection to the nation, whether it's imagined or not. I think the Anderson book it's a good book, but still, like, just because you imagine it doesn't mean that it doesn't have real world impacts. And I think that's another thing that I want to at some point come back to. Will I ever come back to this? Yes, I'm probably going to come back to these ideas, and as I continue on, maybe I can do my own sort of funded studies, and I think that would be great too. So with that, I think that's it. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to, like, this is the dessert video. I think I'll title this the dessert in like quotations, the end of the research agenda, let's call it that. And yeah, we're gonna move on. We're gonna go and we're gonna tackle some big issues, some important issues, and we're gonna have fun. So that's what it's all about. And yeah, thank you if you watched this. If you watched any of the videos, thanks. That's wonderful. And yeah, I'll see you later.